I know.
Is there anything of note on the agenda?
Everything's of note.
Ling's job is the opposite.
No, she's totally frozen. Completely frozen. Hey, when I texted her,
This meeting of the Ramsey County Board.
she just got popped up.
You're up, Mary Jo.
So close.
The Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting will now come to order. If you would please take the roll.
Here.
Modis Castillo,
Here.
McDonough,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Here.
Carter. Okay.
And I will now say the Pledge of Allegiance while the rest of you please mute your lines. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you
And-
very much, Commissioner McGuire. As you can see, my connection is not as stable as I would like it to be. Thank you for pinch hitting in this meeting. And thank you for our Pledge of Allegiance. We'll move on to our agenda. There is an agenda for our November 17th meeting before you as a motion and a
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. Is there any discussion on the agenda? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega, Ortega,
Aye.
thank you. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye, thank you. And the agenda for our meeting is passed. The minutes from November 10th are before you for approval. Is there a motion and second?
So moved. Second.
Thank you for the motion and second. Is there any discussion on the minutes of November 10th? Will the clerk please call the roll?
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye, thank you very much. The minutes from November 10th are passed. And now in our agenda, we have two ordinance procedures before us. There is a motion for the 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance to waive the second reading. Is there motion and second?
Motion to
Move
approve.
approval. Second.
Thank you for the motion of our 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter, Carter,
Aye. Thank you very much. The motion to waive the second read. Aye. Thank you very much. The motion to waive the second reading has passed. And we're going to move on to hold the public hearing on our 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance. The public hearing on the 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance is now open. If you have come here to speak at the public hearing, then when you're called to the dais, please state your name and your city of residence before making your comments. You will have 13 minutes to give your testimony.
I don't think it's 30. I think it's
Yeah.
3.
Manager.
3 minutes, yeah.
3 minutes.
That came out right. 3 minutes to give your testimony.
Madam Chair and members, we currently have nobody on the list, so 30 minutes would be okay. I will now
I'm
ask,
sorry.
is
Thank you.
anyone here to speak regarding,
Oh, my goodness. 30 minutes will work?
is anyone here to speak?
Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak regarding the proposed 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance that has not yet spoken? Is anyone here to speak regarding the 2021 proposed solid waste facility bond ordinance? One final time. Is anyone here to speak regarding the proposed 2021 solid waste facility bond ordinance? Chair Carter, at this time, there is no one that has identified themselves here to speak on the solid waste facility bond ordinance measure.
As vice chair, I'll take over and declare the public hearing is now closed. And so now we have the 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance. Entertain a motion to waive the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we waive the second reading for the 2021 Capital Improvement Bond Ordinance. Would you please take the roll?
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt, Reinhardt.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Maras Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter,
Tony can, yeah, Tony's getting back on the line. So I will now have the 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance public hearing. So the public hearing on the proposed 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance is now open. If you came here to speak when you are called to the dais, please state your name and city of residence before making your comment. You will have a limit of 3 minutes to give your testimony. So I'll ask our county manager if there's anyone, excuse me, there to speak.
Madam Chair, there was nobody who signed up in advance. I will now ask, is anyone here to speak regarding the proposed 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance who has not signed up? Is anyone here to speak regarding the proposed 2021 Capital Improvement Bond Ordinance? Third and final time, is anyone here to speak regarding the proposed 2021 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance? Chair McGuire, as of this time, there is no one who has come forward to speak to the 2021 proposed Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance.
Thank you, County Manager. I declare the public hearing is now closed. So with that, we do not vote on that then, right? We'll just move on with the next part of our agenda.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And that would be then we have our COVID update. So if we could ask the county manager and whoever is there to give the COVID update. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I will turn it over to Deputy County Manager Kathy Hadeen to get us started.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor, and thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Today, I will provide you with the COVID-19 situation update, some pretty stark numbers, and talk about what we are seeing within our workplace and facilities. So we will move over to the dashboard and go through the COVID situation update here in Minnesota and in Ramsey County. In Minnesota, 231,018 people have tested positive for COVID-19. Yesterday, Minnesota Department of Health Commissioner Jan Malcolm reported that it took us 29 weeks to reach 100,000 cases. It then only took us 6 more weeks to reach 200,000 cases on November 10th, and it's likely that we'll see 300,000 cases next week. We see our highest report of cases across the state. We saw our highest report of cases across the state on Saturday with just over 8,700 cases, and we saw 24,000 cases in the last 3 days. The rate of spread is very worrisome. 13,251 people have been hospitalized, with 3,203 people who have been in the ICU to date. As of yesterday, there were 1,559 people across the state hospitalized and 324 people in the ICU in Minnesota. Our healthcare workers and systems are very stressed and very worried about the trajectory of hospitalizations right now. Unfortunately, 2,917 people have died from COVID, and that's an additional 433 people in the last 2 weeks across our state. We will flip over to the Minnesota dashboard, the Ramsey County dashboard. 3 weeks ago, on this top graph, our record case days were around 250 cases a day. This past week, we saw the number of people with confirmed positive tests upward of 550 to 680 cases per day in our county. If we scroll a little further down, you'll see the cumulative case rates have gone up to 361 per 10,000 residents in Ramsey County. The weekly case rate has moved again and is 2 times higher than 2 weeks ago, and now at 31 cases per 10,000 residents. And our 2-week case rate has bumped up to just under 50 per 10,000, which is the case rate that's used by schools. And you'll notice that most of our schools in the county have either moved to distance learning or will move to distance learning in the next week or so. The weekly positivity rate, if we scroll down a bit more, was 9.9% on October 31st. You'll see that rate continue to rise, unfortunately, as more people continue to be infected. If we scroll down a little bit more to our cumulative totals, we've had 21,825 people who have tested positive to date in Ramsey County, and unfortunately, we've lost 426 people to COVID-19. Before we leave our website, let's move over to the testing site to see where you can access a test in Ramsey County. Thanks to the quick work of our communications team, our testing website continues to evolve based on additional testing opportunities. You can now look on our site and find nasal swab testing events, saliva testing events, including the site at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium within the River Center in downtown St. Paul. There you can sign up for an appointment, and they also take walk-ins. And if going to a site doesn't work for you, you can now order a saliva testing kit, and it will be sent to your home for free. I did order one. I ordered a few last week. It does ask for an insurance card, but you don't need one to get tested. I assume right now that demand is extremely high for these test kits, and it may take a while for them to get delivered. So if you have symptoms or if you've been exposed and need an immediate test, I'd recommend that you go to one of the many testing sites in Ramsey County or across the metro area. You can also go here to www.ramseycounty.us/COVID and click on the testing link to find and register for an appointment. We will leave our website for now. And finally, I'd like to give an update about the state of our Ramsey County staff and facilities. We do continue to see more and more staff testing positive for COVID-19. Multiple reports of positive staff are coming our way each day. Most of this is through community spread. Some are asymptomatic and others have symptoms. One thing we want to stress is if you do go get a COVID-19 test, please stay home while you wait for your result. If you are testing just because you're curious and you don't have any symptoms, you haven't been exposed to anyone, if you can, please stay home because you could be asymptomatic and stay home until you get the results back. If you can't stay home, we ask, and you haven't been exposed and you have no symptoms, please wear a mask and keep your distance from others. Because asymptomatic spread is so high, and it's upwards of 70% within college-age students and closer to 40% with the rest of the population, it's important that you take precautions, stay home, and not expose others. We're also asking that if staff can work from home, that you work with your supervisors to make those arrangements now. We know not everyone can work from home, and departments are working to stagger who is in the office to minimize exposure. We also continue to watch staffing levels within our 24/7 facilities. Ramsey County Correctional Facility has a census of 82, and staffing is okay for now. The Juvenile Detention Center has a census of 20. They're also working through some challenges with staffing. The Adult Detention Center has a census of 250. Staffing has been a challenge with many officers out due to COVID-19 illness or exposure. Some staff have been reassigned to work in the facility, and Under Sheriff Finney states that some reserve staff have also been called in. They continue to rearrange staffing models to meet the needs and are also feeling stretched. Correctional Health continues to work through staffing shortages due to COVID illness, with the help of public health nurses from other areas within the public health department who have stepped in for shifts there, and at Lake Owasso, where the county is seeing our biggest outbreak right now. Thanks to a partnership with Open Cities, staff and residents at Lake Owasso were tested again last Friday, resulting in 6 additional residents and 11 more staff testing positive. The Ramsey County Care Center is also testing routinely and currently has 11 residents who have tested positive. And sadly, after being transferred to the hospital late Friday night, a Care Center resident passed away from COVID. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family during this time. Staffing at the Care Center is very difficult right now, and they are working to fill shifts and find solutions. Our mask policy for Ramsey County staff working within offices, facilities, and in community will be updated this week. It will state that at this time, a cloth face covering must be worn at all times when indoors or within a vehicle if riding with another person. I do want to acknowledge how exhausting working through this pandemic has been. Our 24/7 facility staff, all of them, continue to come to work hoping that today isn't the day that they are exposed to COVID. They do this and they do it well, and they're serving our clients in our community and proving just how strong Ramsey County staff are. Our contact tracers and case investigators are working nonstop to ensure that residents who have tested positive are still getting the right information, are being offered essential services, and are being asked to stay isolated, and families staying quarantined at this time. Staff all across the county system are still providing the best service to our residents and our community, and for that we should all be proud. Please continue to social distance, wear a mask, stay home if you can, and get a flu shot. I will now turn it back over to County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Deputy County Manager Hadeen. Good morning, members. Just to follow up on a few of the points that Kathy made, we are working on continuing to prioritize our work across the organization as we go forward and ensure that our response remains focused on COVID-19 and community responses first, followed by everything else that's on our docket in terms of priorities and what's coming forward. You saw my communication back to our leadership on that this week. I'll keep you posted as we go forward. It's as much about an ongoing dialogue and a permission from our leadership across the organization to continue to work with their teams when pivots are necessary. It's not a single point in time analysis of anything. We will talk more about CARES funding, the federal funding as we go through today. There is an item on your agenda, a request for board action related to CARES funding. So I'll save some of that, assuming we'll have a conversation then. But before we go there, I would like to, and we're in good partnership with our school system. They're calling right now, which is another sign of we continue to work, particularly with our schools across the county on their important issues as well. I want to pivot to our Workforce Solutions Director, Ling Becker, who's going to join us up at the dais for a moment and talk some about the pivots with CARES funding, specifically in the area of workforce solutions, as we continue to remain within the priorities that the board has set, but ensure that we spend every dollar available within the workforce area. Director Becker, take it away, please.
Thank you, County Manager. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come and provide an update on the CARES funding that was approved by the board earlier this year. As you know, we've been working urgently to deploy these resources and services to those who have been most impacted by COVID-19 and need of employment support. We've created innovative responses, worked closely with community partners, had our work informed by community engagement, and leveraged and leaned on many parts of our internal organization in order to make this happen. You've heard me before, but I owe a tremendous gratitude to the many departments and leaders in this county who have stepped up to help us to find the best path to get these resources deployed. This morning, I'd like to give you an update and also talk about some of the pivots we've made with the funding since I was last before you. I know you are all well aware of the Tech Pack program. It is something that has been modeled by other counties in various formats throughout the state since we launched it. Otter Tail County even reached out to me to see if they could use our same name. Our partnership with our St. Paul and Ramsey County libraries have been critical for the distribution of these units. The librarians have been absolutely essential in helping us get these resources out. The digital literacy navigation that's been assigned to each of these units aligns as a resource that is extremely unique to the Ramsey County model, and I think we can be very proud of that. Tech Dump has been a tremendous community partner over the past months, and most recently we added another Ramsey County organization, PCs for People, to increase our supply chain. The program is now closed for the year for new applicants, though we are still getting the remainder of our Tech Packs distributed. By the end of the year, we'll have distributed well over 2,000 of these Tech Packs to Ramsey County residents. All these packs were refurbished and they got a new life and reuse as well. If it wasn't for COVID, I would have wanted to bring a couple of residents in here so you could hear for yourselves the impact that these programs are making. Ultimately, the work that we do around workforce services is about individuals. It's about helping people one at a time. I have two stories real quick to share with you, and these are quotes from individuals who've received Tech Packs. I've been a server for 16 years. Due to COVID, I'm now forced to change careers. My income has stopped due to restaurant closures. I'm so thankful to be able to learn new skills and have tools to help me succeed in the workforce. This laptop has literally changed my life and my children right now. Here's another one. On March 17th, I lost my job as a flight attendant. We've struggled for months to get things back on track. I ended up applying for the Tech Pack and GED classes, and I got accepted for both on the same day. I am actually excited for the future in the midst of the pandemic. So speaking of Tech Packs, we also made some slight pivots around that kind of same idea of what makes a Tech Pack, and we renamed them Tech for Future Packs. These were not actually part of the lottery distribution, but we were able to source another 750 refurbished units to provide to targeted populations that have been most disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. And those are primarily our Black, Indigenous, and people of color residents between the ages of 18 and 24. So we will be working to distribute an additional 750 of these units to folks in these demographics, primarily working with 10 community partners, including our own corrections department, to distribute these units. Another pivot we have made is to support those who are interested in pursuing education at this challenging time, but are experiencing increased barriers to enrolling or re-enrolling. We've partnered with Minnesota State institutions that are within Ramsey County. They are Century College, Metro State, and St. Paul College, and we will be distributing 1,500 student support kits to those impacted COVID-19 residents who enroll for over 9 credits, at least 9 credits for next semester. They will receive, before the end of the year, support to buy the necessary items they need to complete their education, including books and other school supplies. Over the past weeks, we've also launched a resiliency fund, similar to the Small Business Relief Fund. This fund is designed to ensure that the critical community of organizations that support our residents around employment continue to stay viable as we move into next year. A second round of the Resiliency Fund was opened yesterday. The fund provides up to $10,000 grants to workforce organizations to cover losses and expenses resulting from COVID-19. We are working closely with an organization called SPEDCO as our fund administrator, and they are headquartered in Arden Hills. We also partnered with our St. Paul Area Chamber and the University Enterprise Labs to provide internships with area businesses for those recent graduates who've had employment opportunities cut short due to COVID-19. These internships provide opportunities for our resident participants to build their networks, add relevant work experience to their resumes at this time, and support employers while also allowing these interns to earn a paycheck throughout this period. I need to take a moment to thank and uplift the community-based organizations who have stepped up and partnered with us to deliver these workforce organizations. I've mentioned it to you before, but we really do owe a debt of county gratitude to over 85 organizations who've spanned over 100 contracts doing work on our behalf. The work they are doing is nothing short of extraordinary. It has been a true privilege to continue to work alongside them, supporting their work, helping them pivot as they need during the shifting needs in the community at this time. So as we near the end of the year and the end of the CARES funding, we have been thinking strategically about how to support our residents as some of these services will be sunsetting. For the youth and young adult population, we know they are particularly vulnerable at this time. We are hosting a virtual week. It's called Level Up Week, beginning the week of November 30th. We will be providing a whole week of virtual resources for youth and young adults around topics such as mental health maintenance for work, going to college, learning about how you can learn and earn, staying healthy while you're trying to work. In addition, as part of that week, the county will be hosting a community conversation with key stakeholders regarding youth and young adult employment within Ramsey County. We're going to be leaning in to learn from the community at this time and to hear about the successes and also the many challenges that we experience after we sunset the CARES funding in this area. We have formed a CARES Youth and Young Adult Advisory Group. This is made up of all Ramsey County youth and young adults who've participated in our CARES projects, and they will be kind of helping to inform that experience. You also are aware of our career labs at our libraries, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about our two partner community-based labs. One is at 8218 True Center, which is near Lexington and Selby, and the other one is a lab that's actually on the border of Maplewood and Oakdale. It's at the Evangelist Temple House of Refuge Outreach Ministries, very long title. These locations are very trusted by the community, and they provide not only career lab services, but families regularly pick up food and other resources there. At the location near Maplewood, there are only 5 computers, but the people that are being served there are primarily Spanish and Hmong, and we have translators on site there 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. And they've been seeing a lot of folks coming in through those doors. So we are all weary of the pandemic, I know, but no one is more weary than those who have been disproportionately impacted through job loss. You may hear that jobs are coming back, the economy is making a steady recovery. I'll note that we need to continue to go deeper than the headlines, recognizing just as the pre-COVID-19 economy didn't work for all equitably, it certainly isn't recovering for all equitably either. I thank you for prioritizing the CARES funding. We continue to serve as many residents and have learned a lot along the way. In this time, we've embraced new ideas, new partnerships, and perspectives that I hope will lead to real change in how we build an inclusive economy. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And Ling, how about we do this? If you could just join us up here and sit down for a few minutes, I'll finish with one update, and then we'll wrap it up and do questions on anything that members may have. Madam Chair, members, the last update I'll provide relates to the housing stability and homelessness work that continues. Last Monday, 11/9, we had 71 participants participate in a conversation related to homelessness, specifically Bethesda and our continued work at that site. There's been poll results from those last 2 town halls. I will make sure that staff make that available to all of you to see. The City of St. Paul also hosted a listening session on day shelter last week in their continued efforts to support the system around buttressing the system to support those who may be sleeping outside. And we presented to the Capital Area Architectural Planning Board last Friday. I provided an update to all of you on that conversation. That started a 30-day clock that will conclude on December 16th. And at that time, the CAP board will consider the conditional use permit and variance that the county needs to be able to open on that date. We remain very hopeful that we will be able to announce on December 16th, late in the day, that we have gotten the full go-ahead to move ahead. People Inc. and Radius, our outreach providers, recently conducted surveys with 161 sheltered and unsheltered residents. I'll also see if I can get that information sent out to you all as board members, but that's important to the broader work that we're doing. And it is only through work like that that we are able to lift up the voice of those experiencing homelessness in the midst of these broader community dialogues that we are having. Tonight, we have a listening session town hall scheduled for Luther Seminary and our work with them to move some of our supported units out of the current hotel structure and into a different environment in partnership with Luther Seminary. A number of us are scheduled to present as a part of that, and our staff will be set to moderate the session, take notes, questions, listen, and continue to provide updates. Luther is a part of that work as well, and we appreciate their leadership in stepping forward and offering a potential solution as we head into this winter. We'll continue to collate feedback, themes, and concerns that we receive. We'll continue to move ahead on multiple fronts. We continue to engage in a productive dialogue with the state of Minnesota around the remaining need, even if Bethesda stands up, even if Luther Seminary occurs, even if the city is able to expand their emergency options. There are needs that remain in front of us. And I'm just here to report that late last night and again early this morning, those dialogues with the state continue, and they suggest that they are moving in a productive manner, and I hope to have more to report in the days ahead. Madam Chair, we stand ready for any questions on any of the topics related to COVID we just brought up today. Thank you for all your time to let us update you.
Thank you so much, County Manager O'Connor and Deputy County Manager Hadeen and Director Becker. We so appreciate all the work that you're doing and all the work of all of our staff. I do have a couple of questions from commissioners, and I will call on Commissioner Mattis Castillo and then Commissioner Reinhardt. Commissioner Mattis Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for a tremendous update. There's a lot of information very quickly, and so I just want to go back a little bit and ask a couple questions. My first question is about what is our current census in our correctional facilities, and how are we managing that, in particular for those who may be incarcerated? Are we looking at depopulating those areas when possible, or are we continuing to do that work? As I know a lot of families are obviously concerned. And then my other question is, similarly, last week we had an update that one of the homeless shelter providers was experiencing an uptake in COVID positive cases. And so how is that situation going as far as our homeless population and COVID?
Madam Chair and Commissioner Mattis Castillo, I just want to clarify, you asked for the census within our correctional facilities?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Within the correctional facility, we have 82 people right now. That's still considerably low. The space can hold hundreds, unfortunately, hundreds of people. The juvenile detention center also has a low census of 20, and the adult detention center is at 250. All of them continue to stay low. We continue to monitor people as they come into the facilities, and they're automatically quarantined, and they have to test out of that to go into the regular areas within the facilities.
Okay, thank you. And our homeless providers?
Could you repeat your question for that one, please?
Yeah. Last week we heard an update that one of the providers of shelter space, I think it was Union Gospel, was experiencing an outbreak of COVID. And knowing how that population has a lot of movement, I was just wondering if we had any update of COVID in those centers.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascasio, for repeating that. So the latest update that I'm aware of is we have been consulting with providers and with the Union Gospel Mission to help them spread people out within the facility. We also continue to work with Healthcare for the Homeless to provide any type of testing support within any of the encampments that have people who may flow in to the space or around there, or be connected to people who are within the shelter. So we are in communication. We continue to provide technical assistance. We are working also with our testing team within our county system, who also work with our city partners to keep people updated and to make sure they have what they need to be able to understand how to safely distance and keep both people within those shelters and staff as safe as possible.
One other final note to that, Commissioner Modis Castillo, that I will add, at some level, the best way to maybe see too where it's happening across the entire system is that our respite site becomes the final point of entry for anyone in any of the different scenarios that Deputy County Manager Hadeen just laid out, where they would be able to rest and isolate during any bout with COVID. Those numbers have been increasing. They've been single digits for a long time, and many started to even question, like, would we even need any of our sites, right? That's been a piece to this conversation all along. The last numbers I saw said we had 26 individuals in respite. That was a few days ago, so it could have deviated some from then. But when we've talked about Boys Totem Town in the past, 35 was about the number we could get to before we would start to have some challenges around capacity. So we remain under that number right now. But in this conversation with Bethesda, that would expand our capacity upwards of 65 to 70 sites. And you can see why that's so important as we head into this winter.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much for those responses. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Workforce Solutions Director Becker, and I was wondering about the donations or potential donations. If people have PCs that can be refurbished to be part of this program, is there a way, or are they still asking for those? And if so, for the people listening, how would they go about making that donation?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Reinhardt, both Tech Dump and PCs for People are open to taking donations all the time. They continue to have demand, even if it's not for our program, but for anyone who comes to them in need of refurbished units. They would have to pay for them, obviously, in those cases, but certainly we can make sure that that information is put onto our website so folks can have a way to contact them and get a direct connection there. Thank you.
So, and I know that some of the questions, obviously, when you're talking about PCs, is the information that's on them. And I am familiar with Tech Dump, and so I know that they offer the service. I don't know if it's automatic in this particular program, but they offer the service of making sure that all data is removed before anything happens. And I think that would be an important thing as far as making sure that that happens, because I know they're sensitive materials. And then also, how do they have to take them to someplace, or can they have them picked up?
Commissioner Reinhardt, I believe Tech Dump will do some pickup, or they have some drop-off, contactless drop-off. We can get that information for folks and make sure it's provided. But yes, that is a really good point, that what you talked about with the data. Both organizations have a very high standard for data destruction, and they work with many large companies that, you know, when they refurbish kind of their whole fleet of computers, they're well known for being able to do that very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I wanted to have that information on the record here, because, and so that it's available online, which I think it already is on our website. But, you know, there's a lot that's going on right now, and I think the stories that you told about what a difference this makes in someone's life. If you've got, anyone listening, if you've got a computer, if you've got something that can be reused, refurbished and reused, that there are options. It makes a difference. That's what it comes down to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And there being no other questions, I just want to again reiterate our deep gratitude to all of you and to all of our staff for all of the amazing work that you're doing in this really difficult time. As we see the numbers rise, we are all, everyone is working, I know, at greater than capacity. And so just thanks to all of you. And we have another, Commissioner McDonough has a question.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just wanted to follow up on the census at the Adult Detention Center. I brought this up, I think, last week, as more just paying attention here as we move forward. I'm not sure, but I thought my recollection, we had gotten down to like 170, 175 number we're up to 250, that's like a 30% jump from where we've been at our low point. And I'm wondering if we're starting to get concerned about the census jumping up at the ADC, or I know 250 sounds really low compared to 420 of what we could have and what we've had in there. But if we were at 170, 180, it seems to me we're creeping up or moving up, and I'm just wanting to get some thoughts about that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, thank you for the question, and it's a good question that we should continue to ask every week. I think we should be concerned that we see the number jump back up to 250. I think we should be concerned at any number above where we've been, and need to continue to ask the question of, are there better ways to build resiliency and ensure that people have every avenue to stay out of detention as possible for COVID and non-COVID reasons at the same time. What I would actually suggest is that we'll have all our players as a part of this afternoon's conversation around mass incarceration, the work happening in this community, and I would appreciate the opportunity to engage in that dialogue with those partners here at the table. Measuring the numbers is an important way for us from a high-level balcony view to see where we're at and then ask these difficult questions and have you as a board continue to ask them as well. These specific approaches and solutions that we need to implement will happen in partnership with the county attorney's office, the sheriff, the director of corrections, the deputy county manager here of health and wellness. And I do think, if possible, I would love to bring that question up as an opening this afternoon. But we should not just simply assume the numbers will stay low, and particularly as the sheriff's office, for example, has challenges in staffing their facility, they also have incentives to keep their numbers down, and that's something we need to continue to do.
Madam Chair, if I could just follow up.
Yes.
Ryan, I appreciate that, and I look forward to this afternoon's conversation. And these are always complex, right? I think, just focusing on the number itself, like you say, gives us that high-level balcony view, but getting down there, as our community wrestles with social justice issues and all the things that have been going on in our community, there are those in our community that have turned some of this around back on us, right? The work we've done to close down Boys Town, the work we're doing with adults to actually take appropriate steps to have the right response when individuals intersect in our systems. And I just want to make sure that the number gets us an understanding of what's going on, but we need to be digging deeper. And I look forward to the conversation this afternoon, because we're going to have to be standing united here as we move forward to be able to have these conversations with our community partners about our criminal justice response in our community and how inequitable it's been in the past, and making sure as we move forward, we just do better with that response and we do it in partnership.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, thank you for framing it in those terms. And there's one part I don't want to wait till this afternoon to respond on, and I think I'd be happy to further articulate this afternoon. To that point about some wanting to return and hearken back to some time when our numbers were higher, I would also point out our crime rates were higher at that time than they even are right now as we face challenges among us in our community. And so while we do not have all of the answers, going backwards is also not the solution. And thank you for raising this important topic and continuing to put it in front of us. Finding new solutions that break through previous barriers is challenging, but something that we must continue to do as a community to ensure that all are truly valued and thrive here in Ramsey County.
Thank you so much. I appreciate also, Commissioner McDonough, that you brought that up, and look forward to the conversation this afternoon. Just want to clarify for the viewing public that when we ask for census numbers in our detention facilities, these are not COVID numbers. These are just population numbers. These are not the numbers of people that have the virus in our facilities. These are just the total number of people in our facilities. I just want to clarify that that's the case when we ask for population. So I'm seeing heads nodding that that's the case. That's just how many we have in our facilities, not the number of people with the virus. Thank you. Thank you for that. And now with that, we are going to have a moment of silence for those who have passed away from our community in the last week. We have been doing this on an unfortunately regular basis, but we want to acknowledge our deep sympathy to the families and loved ones of those who have passed away. So with that, we'll take a moment of silence now. Thank you so much, and thanks again for all that you're all doing to help serve our residents. We will now move on with our administrative agenda, and I will ask Commissioner Ortega to move the administrative items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move item number 7, agreement with Evolve Adoption and Family Services for social and medical history writing services. Item number 8, agreement with Goodwill Easter Seals for Minnesota Family Investment Program. Item number 9, 2020 492 appointments to the Workforce Innovation Board. Item number 10, 2020 542 COVID-19 authorization for procurement contracts and amendments funded through the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security CARES Act. Item number 11, 2020 General Obligations Capital Improvement Plan Refunding Bonds Series 2020A and Series 2020B.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ortega. So Commissioner Ortega has moved the following items that have not been pulled, and we'll ask for a vote on those. Item number 7, number 9, and number 9. The other items 8, 10, and 11 have been pulled. So this would be a motion on items 7 and 9. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Madam Chair, I would second.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you. Commissioner Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Thank you so much. And now we will, I'll entertain a motion for item number 8.
I'll move that item.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Second.
Oh, and thank you for your second, Commissioner McDonough.
Madam Chair, if you would like, we have Director Ling Becker back up to provide some information on item number 8.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the item before you is a contract renewal with Goodwill Easter Seals to execute as one of the main partners of our FAST program. As you know, I talked about this program this summer with you all at our Service Team Committee of the Whole. This is really one of those programs that really goes beyond the surface level requirements. We've had so many amazing partners. Goodwill Easter Seals is one of them. Others include the American Indian Family Center, the Minnesota Care Partners, Minnesota Community Care, Ramsey County Social Services, Elder Mary Kay Boyd, and then obviously the families themselves. And so this is one of those showcase innovative programs that we've been able to carry out within our MFIP program. We look forward to learning and collaborating a lot more around the topic of family stabilization, which I think this is a really good demonstration project on in the future as we think about a more inclusive recovery. This is something that staff and I have already been talking about, kind of learning from some of the unique aspects of this program and seeing how it can be applied to other areas of our work. So I appreciate your consideration of this item, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm assuming it was pulled because we did want to just hear some more of the background of that, and just to thank you for bringing this forward. This is a great example of the partnership, as you have said. So, Commissioner Carter, did you have any other comments that you would like to make? Yes. While we're do you want to unmute, Tony?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I simply wanted to highlight this and so very, very much appreciate all of the work that has been done in partnership with our community, with our families, even with multi-generational perspective as we are looking into the lives of children and their families, and also with the participation of elders in the community in all of this work. It's been some time. There's been update to the board, and it is just so helpful to know that this work is continually being supported, not only by Workforce Solutions, but by others as well. So thank you very, very much to our team for the fantastic work that is going on here. And thank you also, Commissioner McGuire, for continuing to maintain the chairing of this meeting. As you can see, the big face there, I'm having difficulty both being seen and heard. Great appreciation.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. It is my pleasure to do this. So I thank you for those comments, and Director Becker. And so the item number 8 has been moved and seconded, and there being no further discussion, will the clerk please take the roll?
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye. And now we will move on to item number 10 that was pulled. This is the COVID-19 authorization for procurement contracts and amendments.
I'll move that forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. And I see we have our finance director at the podium.
Madam Chair, let me actually take a quick shot at just an opening piece, because a lot of questions come my way too, and then I'll turn it over to Director Kutza to take us through any questions you may have and help us work through what is obviously a complicated and challenging funding piece. If there's one takeaway that the board is left with today, it's that we are on track to spend every penny allocated to Ramsey County as a part of the CARES Act funding through eligible CARES expenses, and we do not anticipate needing to return money to the federal government at the end of the CARES Act period at the end of this year. That's an ongoing daily conversation between the CFO and I and many in the organization to ensure that that is part of it. And so in different buckets, people will hear moments of underspend, overspend, where we sit, eligible expense, what does that look like? From the policy direction set overall by the county board, and within those broad buckets, we remain on the same path that we've been on all along. But on a micro level, as you execute hundreds of contracts, what you'll see is an underspend here on one contract, and so then there's reallocations into a different place to ensure that we move our funding and don't have a situation where we end up returning funding. And I want to just acknowledge up front the confusion and challenge that comes with that. I feel it as well, and I know that many of you do too. In the buckets where we started, we talked about workforce, economic development, and financial assistance, receiving $15 million, $15 million, and $25 million, and then an additional $40 million that would go to other eligible CARES expenses that involve things like testing, personnel, and originally also involved homelessness. A description of that $40 million and what we had discussed was on the first full paragraph on page 2 of the request for board action. And that paragraph, it explains that there was $9.7 million within that 40 where we had not fully identified costs earlier this year, and at the request of the board did not ask for the full amount to be approved at one time. We are now back to do that today to ensure that that funding does in fact occur. The final thing I will say is that when I think about the money, I don't think about it as 15, 15, 25, and 40. Because within the 40 million, 16 million has been dedicated to homelessness, and then the rest to a level of other eligible CARES expenses. So I would first think of our 2020 response as 15, 15, 25, and 16 across workforce, economic development, financial assistance, and homelessness. And then the remaining funding, the 24 million, becomes the personnel, non-personnel eligible expenses. You are all also aware that as we recoup funding in those areas, we are working to create capacity to continue our homelessness response into 2021 and even the beginning of 2022, recognizing that we have needs to support. And so while homelessness in 2020 is a $16 million number, by the time the COVID-19 emergency is done, I would anticipate that number to be closer to a $40 million final figure in Ramsey County spending related to coronavirus response and homelessness. With that, I'll turn it over to Director Kutza to provide additional context if she would like, but hopefully that broader framing is helpful. I get a lot of questions on it, and I share the same questions as everyone else.
Thank you, County Manager. Just a couple highlights to add to that. So this action today, so as Director Becker mentioned earlier, she is moving forward with a nonprofit relief program that's part of, as the County Manager mentioned, we are constantly reviewing over 200 contracts, and there's underspending in some, overspending in others, and we're trying to pivot to make sure that we are first and foremost reacting to the community needs and what you have set forward as how we want to invest this money in our community. And then second, making sure we maximize the use of the CARES funding out there. So as we pivot, we are asking for $1.65 million for a contract with SPEDCO to do the nonprofit relief fund. This is one of our pivots. The second pivot is the landlord program, which you heard from Director Curry about previously, and that is within her $25 million, so no additional authority is needed. The second ask in this RBA is for the $9.7 million that County Manager mentioned of the $40 million overall. So he said $16 million, it's 16.3 for homelessness, plus the $14 million that was originally approved by the board back in May, and then with the 9.7 gets us to the total, and that will help us make sure that we spend every dollar of the CARES funding before the end of the grant period, which is December 30th, 2020. And then finally, we have two grants that we received elsewhere. One for $748,000 for the Ramsey County Care Center through CARES Provider Relief Fund, so different than the CARES local government funds. And then $421,000 to support election work from the Minnesota Secretary of State through their CARES Act funding. I am happy to answer any questions that you have.
I have a question, Director Kutza. Would it be safe to say that the CARES money is coming from the federal government, or is it coming through the state? Like item number 4, it's coming through the Secretary of State. Is item number 3 coming through anything at the state level, or is it coming directly from the federal government? I'm just curious.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great question. So it depends. Our CARES local government money is coming directly from the federal government. For number 3, the CARES Act provider relief funds also come directly from the federal government. But for number 4, those CARES funds went to the Secretary of State in Minnesota, and then they passed them on to us. So they're coming from the state of Minnesota.
Thank you. It was just interesting to me, that little difference there. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. And I do have some questions, and I apologize. I'm not sure what order they went up in, so I will just take the order that I see them on my screen. Commissioner McDonough, and then Commissioner Carter.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm very supportive of and I'm glad we got a chance to talk about here on the nonprofit relief money here. You know, I think, you know, going back to when the original federal bill was passed and we knew we were getting the money, we've done a nice job in Ramsey County of getting money out in the community quickly, but also being able to pivot when we need to. And we've seen whether it's a gap we've seen that needs some attention, or whether it's an area that we've allocated money for, but we're not using the money as fast and the impact's not happening in the community as fast as maybe some other areas. And I think everybody's done just an amazing job. The one kind of glaring gap all along this has been kind of the nonprofits and the stress that they've been going throughout this. We've, you know, we addressed the housing, we've addressed workforce, we've addressed business, we've addressed, but, you know, incorporating the nonprofit opportunity here as we near the end of the CARES funding is very supportive. The one question I do have, because the deadline has come and gone now for cities to turn their money back, November 15th. Has any and we're unique, Hennepin and Ramsey are unique because the other 85 counties, the city's money goes directly to the counties, and the counties have another month to allocate those funds. But here in Ramsey County, those city unallocated monies go to our Ramsey County hospitals. And I'm just wondering, has any of our cities not spent all their money, and has that money started to move to hospitals, and are we aware of which funds? I think in Hennepin, they can only send it to HCMC, but in Ramsey, they could pick a hospital.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, I'm going to do my best. From the indications we've had with the city administrators in past conversations, they reported that they would spend all of their money, and I have not seen a ledger that suggests otherwise, nor heard from anyone to tell us otherwise. Following up with regions could be a piece to that, and some of them were voluntarily working with the hospital systems who reached out proactively to some of those cities. So I do think hospitals may have gotten some money through it before any timeline ran out. I will say that in the reallocation, regardless of statutory pieces, there's the money that will then return to the state of Minnesota. I believe like the county deadline is November 30th for counties that were not direct federal recipients, so everyone other than Hennepin and Ramsey. We've been working with some of our partner counties trying to help them as they're reaching the end. And we're also learning from them as they reach their end before we reach our end. As I mentioned, the piece around homelessness and our partnership with the state, I do think there are scenarios in which we do see some of that CARES money come our way as it goes back to the state and the state looks at what they can do to help invest. That's completely speculative on my part right now, but I think it's within the realm of possibility as we go forward.
Thank you so much for that. Commissioner McDonough, are there any other questions? Are you good? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Carter and then Commissioner Mattis-Castillo. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say ditto to Commissioner McDonough's comments already because I wanted to compliment our staff, but also this board on the strategic approach that was taken from the onstart to designate those strategic areas of funding and then also to have the flexibility to design responses as we saw it necessary. The other thing that I want to compliment is the work that was done to make certain that from the start we had the focus on community engagement and the focus on maintaining progress on equity, even during a pandemic. Very, very much thanks for the management of these funds to ensure that by the end of the period, by the end of the year, we are able to, with eligible expenses, direct all of the funding that we have received, at least projectedly so, to the emergency that is before us as is intended. So thank you very, very much to staff leadership and also to this board for your wisdom in working with staff to designate those priorities and maintain also the flexibility that we do that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Mattis-Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious, I know we may not have initial numbers, but the landlord support kind of applications closed last week. Do we have any early indications of how many took advantage of that?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, so the latest numbers I have, and I would want Director Curry to verify this, but there's about $1.45 million worth of applications that were submitted that were going to support about 380 individual tenants across those apartments. I can't remember the number of actual landlords, but I'm sure she can send an update later. But 1.5 million is good. We had a lot of interest in the program.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, just one other piece earlier, I got a text from one of our staff leaders watching. I wanted to go back to the comments from Commissioner McDonough and Commissioner Carter. Policy and partnerships within our incident management team has also sent out a formal request to our cities to understand the answer of potential reallocation. So hopefully I can provide you with finalized information along that in the coming week.
Thank you so much for that. And are you finished, Commissioner Mattis-Castillo? Okay, great. Yeah, I'll just add my thanks and gratitude, Director Kutza, for all of the pivoting that you and your staff and the entire county is doing to really make sure that we do maximize the CARES dollars and really serve the needs of our residents. So thank you so much for all of that, and also to you, County Manager O'Connor, for all of your work. So with that, I see no other questions, and so we will. I will ask for a vote on item number 10. Once again, the COVID-19 authorization for procurement contracts and amendments funded through the CARES Act. So there being no further discussion, will the clerk please take the roll on item number 10?
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye. Thank you all for that. And now we are moving on to item number 11, which was pulled. This is the general obligation capital improvement plan refunding bonds series, the award sale. And so this item was pulled. We'll get some, we're going to have some further information on that. So or County Manager O'Connor.
Madam Chair, I would move approval.
Move it. Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Reinhardt, thank
I'll
you. It's been
second
moved
it.
and seconded. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. As you heard last week, we'd re-gone through our rating process and came back as AAA, and I don't remember exactly what the second rating is. The best rating across two different rating agencies. Miss Terry Heaton here from Baker Tilly can provide you with the specifics there of what I got wrong. And she's here to fill in the blanks around the refunding numbers associated with this request here today.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'm pleased to be here to present the results of the sale that occurred yesterday at our offices, Baker Tilly offices, at 1 o'clock yesterday. The ratings, by the way, and that's important because it's such good news that the two AAA bond ratings from Moody's and S&P had an important role in the good news that I'm about to present. There were two bond issues. The first bond issue is a tax-exempt GO capital improvement plan refunding bond. The amount was $19,475,000, and it is used to refinance bonds sold 2011A and 2013A. And there is a bid tabulation, two spreadsheets that were distributed last evening by the finance director, or CFO, sorry. And so if you have that handy and you want to follow along, you could. Otherwise, I'll walk through the information with you. So the first bid, the first bond sale was, we received 13 bids, and some of them were syndicate bids, meaning one underwriter partnered with other underwriters, and so we received about 23 underwriters participating. And that's huge, 13. Generally, I've looked through your list, your history, and you've generally received between 5 and 10. So there was a lot of interest, and that when you have a lot of competition, it drives down rates. The interest rate for refinancing that we estimated a month ago was 1.18%. The actual result yesterday was a bid from Morgan Stanley at 0.79%. I did check through all the history, and this is for a 13-year bond, and you have never received an interest rate that low before. And this is a 50-year low market that you were able to refinance these bonds during. And what that means is our estimate of savings for this issue is $2.4 million, and you will actually save $2.8 million. So an extra $400,000 thanks to those results. In addition, you received a premium. And that means when they bid, they bid not only a coupon interest rate for each maturity, they also pay a price for the bonds. And you received a premium that allowed you to reduce the issue size. So instead of issuing $19,475,000, the bond amount is reduced to $17,650,000. So that's the amount that you'll be repaying. And so then I'll go on to the second issue, and we have equally good news. These were separated because tax-exempt bonds are for current bonds that are being refinanced, and the call date is soon. After the 2017 tax bill, they eliminated advanced refundings as a tax-exempt option. So these are sold as taxable bonds, but because we're in a 50-year interest rate low, if you capture the taxable rates, there's still significant savings. And waiting until the actual call date in a couple of years, and the likelihood of interest rates still being at this rate is very, I can't say if it's unlikely or not, but this is a bird in the hand scenario, and the savings are here today. And this is for $28,030,000 bond issue. It refinances the 2012A, 2013B, 2014B, and the 2014C bonds. The issue size, we received 12 bids, again with syndicates that represented 20 financial institutions. The interest rate we estimated, again it's higher because it's taxable, is 1.57%. The actual interest rate yesterday came in at 1.36%, also for Morgan Stanley, and that's for a 14-year term. And the savings there were estimated to be about $2.9 million. The actual savings will be $3.4 million. So there's an extra $480,000 there for total savings between the two bond issues of $6.2 million, and as compared to our estimate of $5.3 million a month ago. Part of this, or a big part of this, is you're in a market where folks are looking for secure, safe bonds. Because of COVID, they're looking for where to park the money. So if you find a county GO bond issue with 2 AAAs, it's very enticing, and that's what we recognized yesterday. And so you have 2 credit rating reports that I understand were distributed. And if I could, Madam Chair, just to take a minute to mention what's in this report. It's a AAA stable for both Moody's and S&P. And that's important because during COVID, they are looking at all the ways you're impacted, your tax base, your revenue streams, everything that might be impacted because of the pandemic. And there were a lot of extra questions about that. And to come away with that, with a report card that looks like this, it says you have from S&P, very strong economy, very strong management, ability to maintain balanced operations, good financial policies and practices under what they do as a special financial management assessment, very strong budgetary flexibility, very strong liquidity, and very strong debt and contingent liability profile, meaning that your debt is low. They did have one adequate, and actually if they had scored in a normal year, it would have been very strong again. But as part of their cushion for the pandemic, they are scoring everyone with an adequate budgetary performance. So that is as strong as you can get on a credit rating report right now. And from Moody's Investor Services, they also mentioned many of the same categories, a strong tax base, and both of them talked about the fact that you're not using a lot of the volatile revenues like hospitality taxes, the sales taxes that have really declined. You're not relying on those for your general operations, which was a big plus. And some of the things that they noted is your credit strengths are your strong economy, strong financial operations and ample reserves, conservative budget practices, and your low debt burden again. And so these are fantastic reports to be getting in the middle of the pandemic. So very, very good. Congratulations on the credit rating. And we do recommend the low bids, both of them from Morgan Stanley for the Series 2020A, 2020B. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Wow, that is amazing news. Thank you so much for presenting that. We really appreciate that. I'm so proud of our county and all of our work. I'm going to call on our Finance Chair, Commissioner Reinhardt, to make a few comments, and then Commissioner McDonough. I see your hand is raised. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, wow is a good way to put it. And, this doesn't happen by accident. This is from the leadership of this board, from the management team, county manager, CFO Kutza. I mean, all of the people that are working on this are absolutely incredible, and I just want to say a huge thank you. I know that Alex especially has come in. She came in, I think, a week after COVID as the new CFO, and everyone has stepped up to the plate and beyond, and really to come through the pandemic. Well, we're not through it, but in the middle of a pandemic, to be able to get news like this really does show how we are working together. When we talk about pivoting, yes, that is what we are doing. And I think that that is really a credit to everyone in this organization. So I just wanted to say how pleased I am that the work that we have all done. And I do think that this board deserves a lot of credit for trying to stay the course as far as what was important to us with residents first, and really showing how we could get this done and still retain the strong, stable base that we have that is so important to us. It's important to our community because of when you talk about the 6-point-something million that have been saved, that's because we are, especially our CFO and the finance staff, have really watched things to make sure that we're getting the best outcomes we possibly can. So I am, of course, very excited to have the AAA bond ratings from both Standard & Poor's and Moody's, but I think the comments that were just made about how we are doing it, not just that we got it done, but how we are doing it, we should take great pride in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. Well said, and thank you so much for your leadership as chair of our Finance Committee for the board. So thank you so much. And yeah, I want a copy of all this and put it on my wall. Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Ditto to what Commissioner Reinhardt said. I agree with all that. That's all good stuff. So clearly, sometimes timing is everything. Getting the lowest rate we've ever had. More about timing, but the fact that we've been AAA for going on 20 years is not just timing. It is about deliberate actions that have positioned us well for that. The question I have for you, and as I listen to you, kind of go through all the things that the bond agencies pay attention to, and certainly they're very well, based on economic stability and what it looks for, and that makes sense because we're talking about money here. But they certainly took a look at COVID and weighed that factor into this. That's a big player here. But this summer, this country and so many communities went through, social justice issues that we have never seen in 30 or 40 years, really, like we have this summer. And in their questioning or any part of that, do they take a look at, kind of what we're thinking, how we're managing the well-being of our community, more than just financially, but for a community for all to live and thrive in? Does that ever play into any of the questioning or part of the rankings here?
Madam Chair, Commissioner McDonough, the questions were very detailed, and in fact, in preparation, there was a slide on civil unrest, and we talked about, they wanted to know what it looked like and whether they asked the questions or not. We talked about the number of buildings that might have been damaged and what other impact it had on the county, and I think we had just addressed that head on. They are looking at that from a national perspective, and they have seen some cities that have had a lot of damage, and that they're rebuilding communities and policing and so forth. So that was a question. I think, to the heart of the question, there are a lot of things that come. We're in a pandemic. The economy is seeing some ripples up and down. There's some volatility. And I think what came through in the credit rating is the long-term planning. Because if you have a long-term perspective and over again your team participating on the call, we're able to point out this plan, this activity, this forward-looking plan that they had to take all of this into account. And that way, when you hit these challenges, and you were talking about pivoting earlier, you're able to pivot and go, but you have the long-term plan, steady as it goes. And I think that's what the credit ratings our agencies are really focusing on, is the foundation that you've built, and then how, if you've got the strong foundation and you were able to build up cash reserves from the year before, so you had a strong starting point because of your strong financial practices. If you're able to start there and you have a long-term plan that you're modifying, not creating, I think that's where you end up. And definitely the presentation they heard was from a county that is a AAA with all of your plans.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all your work, too.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you very, very much. And for all the comments that have been made, and I want to make a, somewhat very obvious statement, and that is I am very thankful, we all are, for the great ratings that we've been able to maintain over such a long period of time, for the confidence that the rating agencies have shown with us, and that these financing partners work for our community. And I think so much of that is simply based in the approach that we have taken to designing this work together with our community, and to focusing forward as we have on doing not just good things, really good things, better things, but I should say, but even better things that we can do. And we've talked this morning on this agenda about some of those better things. We'll be working together this afternoon, looking forward at some of the work that we're doing, focusing on, for example, alternatives to incarceration and reducing incarceration so that people can do better in our community. But the thankfulness here is to our team that has managed with us financially and strategically, because, and this assumption that everybody knows this, those dollars that we are saving instead of being spent on financing can be spent on the work within that strategic plan. So it's like extra dollars, if you will, in our pocket that we can put toward doing those better things. Again, a big thank you to this board for maintaining the course, and to those who are managing for us financially and putting our work together today and for tomorrow as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carter. Appreciate that. And yes, thank you again for all of your work. Thanks to everyone who helped make this possible. So with that, we have no more questions. I appreciate that. We are now ready to vote on item number 11. It has been moved and seconded. This is item that is our general obligation capital improvement plan refunding bonds series, our award sale, and it's very good news. So with that, I will ask the clerk to take the roll.
Ortega.
Oh.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Fretham.
Aye.
Modis Castillo.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye. Thank you all so much. We are now moving on to the policy item on our agenda, item number 12. This is the conduit bonds and conduit financing policy for affordable housing projects. So I'll entertain, oh no, this is just a policy. We will not be voting on this. We're just going to talk about this.
Madam Chair, this is actually a policy item where we are asking the board for approval of the policy today so that the Housing and Redevelopment Authority can begin to be an implementing entity against the policy being established here by the county board.
So thank you for that. I'll entertain a motion then.
Move approval.
You can pick.
It's been moved and approved by the entire board. No,
The Ramsey County Board of Commissioners moves.
we all move approval and second
Carrie,
this.
Carrie, that's really wise. Get out of there quick. You got it.
Is there, yes, we'll look to County Manager. Do you want to start us out, and then we can ask for Director Collins for comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm inviting Director Carrie Collins back up to say a few words at the outset. She can provide any information based on any changes or modifications since the board's discussion at the Housing and Redevelopment Authority a few weeks ago, and we're back before you today.
All right. Thank you so much, County Manager O'Connor and members of the board. We received a variety of questions and some really good feedback on October 27th, and so you'll see that your feedback was incorporated into the amended policy. So several points of interest in that this particular tool for affordable housing is really intentionally used for the preservation of 30% units. And as you know, through the research we've done across the Economic Competitiveness and Inclusion Vision Plan, we in Ramsey County are lagging behind in terms of 30% units to the tune of about 15,000. So this is an opportunity for us to partner with projects and communities for the preservation. The policy is very much in alignment with the vision, mission, and goals of the county. And so we're pretty pleased to partner in this way. You will notice, beginning as early as next week, that there is a proposal from Common Bond Communities asking for us to partner with the St. Paul HRA. The applications begin January 1st through MMB, and they issue the funding on a rolling basis. So they're really excited to get in because they are competitively awarded, and this is one tool that will allow them to advance that next step. So with that, I'll pause for any questions.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your work, Director Collins, and all of the partnerships that we have in these really important issue areas. Are there any questions? Commissioner Carter, I see your hand is raised, but I'm wondering if that's left over from last time, but you may want to comment.
You know what? I am sorry. Thank you. Down.
So I'll just reiterate a deep round of gratitude to you for all your work. I don't see any other questions. Thank you for being here today for this. And with that, I will ask the clerk to take the roll on item number 12, our conduit bonds and conduit financing policy for affordable housing projects.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Matas Castillo,
Aye.
McDonough,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye. Thank you all so much again for that. So we now are going to move on. That completes our action items. We now move on to County Connections with County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel like we've kind of had a County Connections running as we go today. So just two quick ones for everybody. A while back, we nominated our planning team within the incident management section of our COVID-19 response and RECERT, our Racial Equity and Community Engagement Response Team, as Citizens League's Minnesota Civics leaders for an awards program that they were going through. The Citizen League had called for nominations of exceptional individuals or teams who have gone above and beyond to make Minnesota a better place to live and work for everyone. And we found out that Ramsey County, those two teams, will be recognized on November 19th at 10 a.m. for a live virtual event that celebrates everyday civic leaders. It's being hosted by Jana Shortall of KARE 11 News, and it's an opportunity to celebrate neighbors and community members who have gone above and beyond during the pandemic in this online event. We will send out the information in case you would like to tune in and see that recognition. It's a great piece of recognition along the way from many of our staff who have been engaged and in many cases have been asked to lead and step up in ways that go way beyond maybe what they've been comfortable with or exposed to in the past, and they've shined throughout this time. So I want to give a shout out to RECERT. I want to give a shout out to the planning group within the incident management team. I want to give a shout out to the entire incident management team for supporting that work. It's a good step along the way. Finally, after many, many years of work, technically 2 decades if you go back the entire way, but It spans 5 years of very focused work on the current iteration. Happy to report that as of yesterday, Public Health is live with its electronic health record system, which is not a public health EHR, but it's the Ramsey County electronic health record system that is integrating our work across our system in terms of electronic records. There are still some areas where we're working through remaining smaller piece of implementation, but I've been before you in a couple different roles over the last few years talking about this implementation with the board, and this was one of the remaining largest hurdles to get over, was the large-scale implementation into public health. And so, huge moment of recognition for everyone who's been involved in that implementation within public health, to the director of public health for her leadership and for the committed and can-do work to make this project happen. I always go back to, this is a system that will impact 1 in 5 Ramsey County residents at some point based on the numbers we see who we serve. It's a large system of electronic health records that truly brings our residents' first vision to light. So very happy to share that update with you. That is all I have for today, Madam Chair. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, all your work, and we look forward to seeing information on checking out Janice Shortle's great report. Tony, Commissioner Carter, do you have your hand raised for this part of this? Or okay.
Please forgive me. I don't know why I can't get that down.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll just note that. Thank you so much for County Connections and for all the great work that our county is doing. Now, Madam Chair, do you have an update, or should I'll move on to outside board and committee reports? Commissioner Carter, why don't you can start.
Okay, thank you very, very much. My apologies again for the photo. I can't get it down and maintain a good connection today. I will share that together with Commissioner Maras-Castillo, I was able to attend our canvassing meeting to certify the November 3rd election. We were thrilled to hear, as we will in our next board discussion, so I won't belabor that as much, but about the high numbers of voter participation and also an incredibly secure election. So thankful that we can have that report and talk more about it later this morning. Was also able to, and as you have heard and continue to receive updates from the county manager on, participate in a conversation advancing our request for assistance with homelessness this winter, and certainly for an enhanced partnership as we look forward to supporting the region and our state for homelessness solutions, as we do here in our capital county. Looking forward to the ongoing response to result quickly in assistance in our endeavors for homelessness, and thanking all of you for remaining steadfast and making these requests known and providing the information as we have needed to, and providing the advocacy to ensure assistance with the solutions such as we know is needed. Want to just highlight also that I was able to attend, along with the City of St. Paul and community partners, a 3M Coalition meeting this past week, focusing on a large contribution being made over 5 years to efforts in the City of St. Paul by the 3M Foundation. It actually is a $50 million contribution over those 5 years on top of everything that they provide already. They are focusing on STEM and manufacturing careers and on advancing equity such as is needed in our communities for people of color, advancing through workforce into the opportunity for prosperity. This past week, we were able to hear from organizations about the efforts in which they are participating in and for which support is needed. We heard from a few community organizations, United, Bay of Jama Place, and others who are doing this work. I am encouraged that there is space in this initiative to support, to engage, to collaborate and coordinate with Ramsey County efforts, such as we've heard about in workforce. We will be listening to in working toward
solutions or alternatives for incarceration, as that has so much to do with creating opportunity and eliminating barriers for so many in our community. So I sit there together with other participants from government and from the community in order to drive toward that coalescing of our best ideas for work together. So I'll continue to report on that. And also just to highlight, we do know that this evening we have a conversation on homelessness. We will be meeting with the St. Anthony Park community, or in the St. Anthony Park community virtually, of course, this evening to talk about homelessness solutions. And as we look toward the opportunity to get more people inside as winter advances, and also this Thursday, Ponce Battle Creek, beginning community engagement. Thank you to all of you for your focus, and particularly as we begin this community engagement to Commissioners Reinhardt and Matas-Castillo, who will be maintaining close attention in that part. I am also thankful for, and it is online on our site, station with Dr. Lynn Ogawa around the coronavirus. She'll have one in the past, we'll have another on the 18th, which is tomorrow, and yet another planned in December. Again, that's on our site, and just want to focus folks' attention to that. Thank you very much. I know, Commissioner McGuire, you may be sharing that we have the upcoming discussion at 10:30 a.m., which is going to be shared by Commissioner Ortega, and we also will have a 1:30 board workshop today, that again on dismantling mass incarceration, and that will be chaired by Commissioner Fretham, with Commissioner Ortega participating also in his leadership of Safety and Justice, our committee of the whole. Thank you very much. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carter. Appreciate that. So now we'll move on to Commissioner Fretham. We're going in alphabetical order for those of you that want to.
Thank you. Not much to update, just wanted to lift up that there will be a public hearing or a virtual community meeting hosted by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency on December 10th to discuss a minor permit for water gremlin in White Bear Township. This is the facility that had been not reporting exposure to TCE and also had issues with lead exposure for their employees. Commissioner Reinhardt has been an integral support in this work, but wanting to ensure the community knows of this permit hearing, and the community group, Neighbors Concerned Citizens Group, who has been just instrumental in keeping this front of mind and moving forward with reforms to protect the community, is wanting to make sure that folks know that this is happening and working to organize feedback and questions on this. So any concerned members of the community that want to attend or have questions about that can feel free to connect with MCCG, but also my office, or I'm assuming Commissioner Reinhardt's office, for more information and connection about that hearing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. Commissioner McDonough.
No report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll go at the end. So Commissioner Matas-Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple updates. I want to also do a special shout out on the exceptional people who have made a big impact from the Citizens League. I also have a constituent, MK Nguyen, who has been an active member in the Frogtown neighborhood that is being recognized through Vibes, her voice influencing better education systems as part of the St. Paul Promise Network. So I want to also lift up MK Nguyen, who has done awesome work, and everyone, I think, in St. Paul and the Frogtown neighborhood knows MK and her work and her energy. And so congrats to her as well. We look forward to celebrating her, as well as our teams working together to do that. I also am a member of the Military and Veterans Policy Committee as a vice chair at NACO. And last Thursday, we had the opportunity to talk with Representative Takano, who is the chair of House Vets policy committee that gave us an update, but just wanted to share that there's actually, I raised the issue bill in Congress, which is about Veterans Toxic Exposure Accountability Act. And why this is really impactful is that we had the Minnesota's 133rd Fighter Wing is a group of people that were exposed to this. So it is a direct impact to our veterans here in Minnesota and in Ramsey County. And so that hearing is actually tomorrow in Congress. So we will keep that focused and pay attention to that work as it has a direct and local impact. And we hope that that Accountability Act will pass this year in Congress. Also, we have our Rice Street Visioning Open House. This has been an ongoing project over the last several years, but we're now getting to a point where the team will be presenting kind of initial ideas and the community engagement that has gone on over the last year, tomorrow evening from 6 to 8. And we encourage everyone to sign up on our website to get a link. There's lots of things happening in Ramsey County, as you can tell by events. So there's always something to do, and to make sure you're checking out our events online. And I'm really excited about the initial results of the Rice Street Visioning, and really appreciate everyone who has worked on that for a really long time. And that's it. So thank you all for all the great work happening.
Thank you, Commissioner Mattis Castillo. Okay, Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to give a quick report on the Food Distribution Committee. Last week, I reported that we had spent given out $9.5 million from the $10 million that was provided for food security. I am happy to say that from that original $10 million, that money has gone out the door. We've completely have contracted with all the appropriate infrastructure that the staff has done a fabulous job in building. We also, since that August, roughly about 130,000 meals have been delivered. And that figure has grown. That figure is about 2 weeks old. The other thing is, as reported by Ryan, with money that was not spent in other categories, $1 million was added to the Food Security Committee. Of that $1 million, we've already contracted out 200,000 of it. A lot of this money comes from different pots, so the requirements are different for various dollars, but it also gives us the flexibility to help nonprofit food providers, to help them with their infrastructure such as storage, or to help them with operating expenses to keep them in the black over this period. We're working on this. I'm hoping to report to you right after Thanksgiving. It's our target goal that we would have committed that extra $1 million. Make sure that all these dollars get to our community. Let me move on to the Union Depot. At this time, we usually start our celebrations, our holiday celebrations. And unfortunately, which has been wildly successful over the years. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we've had to suspend everything, but we are gonna have everything on virtual. We're gonna have the holiday bake sale, the North Pole Express, the European holiday market. They're all gonna be on virtual, so you can go onto our website. We're going to have a video with the tree lighting and the music, so it's all going to be virtual. And that'll be on December 4th at 7 p.m. You will get more information in the coming weeks regarding that. So I just wanted to let you know, and of course, we've had to cancel the Canadian Pacific holiday train, which usually is a great fundraiser for us for our food shelves. But given the current environment, I think we're going to put together a good program so folks could celebrate at home. That's about it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everybody's doing it a little differently, and I'm glad they're able to do something, but those are great events at the Union Depot, so hopefully people will be able to join virtually. Thank you for that. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Ortega, when you were talking about the virtual bake sale, I hope they're virtual calories too. So that they don't actually add. Anyway, but that's really exciting to be able to continue as much as we possibly can so that people can tune in and participate and enjoy the season. I think it's another way that we show that we are really a good community and care about everyone here. As far as the events that I participated in, there have been a lot, actually, and many of them overlapping, but I do want to report that yesterday I was part of the AMC's Environment and Natural Resources Committee Policy Committee, and we finalized the platform changes and the resolutions that are going to go to the board and then ultimately to the full AMC organization in December. And one of them, well, there are several, but one that I wanted to point out was on PFAS from the environmental standpoint and our water. It's something of national significance and clearly statewide significance in trying to address that through product stewardship. And if that's not enough to do so, to deal with the issue, environmental issue, then making sure that the state steps up to deal with that. But there are a lot of other things I know throughout AMC. Those policy committees were meeting and trying to frame up what we need for next year in the legislative session. So it's an exciting time for AMC, and I'm sure Commissioner McGuire, you can speak to that as well. Also, the Clean Water Council met, and we are finalizing our report, our 2-year report to the legislature, and it's in a new format that's very similar to Ramsey County's budget format, which really lets people know not only what we are doing, but why we are doing it and the impact that it will have on the environment. And then finally, I know that we're going to follow this with an elections update, which I'm excited to hear because, yeah, the voter turnout was so incredible. And the way everything ran, I'm sure we'll hear more about that, but it's exciting that it's my understanding that Minnesota is still #1 with, I can't remember if it was 78 or 79% of those eligible to vote actually voting. Something that Secretary of State Steve Simon has really worked hard on, and it's with the help of all of us across the state that happens. The White Bear Lake area League of Women Voters had an event that was talking about elections and specifically polling, and it was kind of interesting because people are so saying, how could the polls be so wrong? And actually, when you dug down into the statistics of it, it wasn't the average is 4.1% differential, and that's what we ended up with. So, but there were different things that went into that. So they weren't all that different than what you would expect, but given the unusual circumstances around the elections this year and everything, the absentee ballots and the number of people that turned out, pretty amazing process that we went through. So I'm looking forward to hearing that as well as this afternoon's workshop. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Commissioner Reinhardt. Thank all of you for all of your work. I'll just make a few comments on some of the committees that I serve on, and I'll just start with the Children's Collaborative, St. Paul Children's Collaborative. Commissioner Carter and I serve on that, and just to acknowledge that every organization I'm a part of, is trying to get their money out to the people, the public, as fast as possible, and so some of their grant money we were reallocating to youth homelessness. So we're excited about that, and just kudos to that group of people. Which includes the St. Paul School District, City of St. Paul, and Ramsey County that are really working hard on serving the community. Also, our child care system gaps work that Commissioner Fretham and I are working on within the county is continuing to plan our meetings, and now we'll be having another meeting which will engage the community. So if any of you have any people that you know specifically wants to work on childcare gaps, let us know. We'll be sending out notices for our meeting. It will be in the beginning of December. This is systems work now. We're trying to get to the very heart of the issue with things that are immediate, but also to work on how we do the long-term planning for our childcare work. So let us know if you know anybody that would like to serve on that. The Ramsey County League of, the Ramsey County League of Local Governments met, and a number of us on this were there. It was very fun to see Commissioner Reinhardt, Fretham, and our own Julia Wolf from our Healthy Aging Department, Director of Healthy Aging, gave a talk on age-friendly communities. That's an effort that AARP is working on, and so that's an effort where communities can do a number of things that will make them age-friendly. So they're just beginning that work, and just stay tuned for more on that. But you can get more information from Julia, but also go on the AARP website to learn how you can be an age-friendly community. And we're, of course, working hard to make sure we are one in Ramsey County. Also, our AMC Public Safety Committee did meet as well, our policy committee. Just to let you know, one of our amendments that I authored actually made sure that mental health was part of the public safety platform. You know, it's been in Human Services and HHS committee, but I thought it needed to be acknowledged that we really need to be working together on mental health issues within our correctional facilities and within our correction system. So that was passed unanimously as an addition to our platform. Also, December 7th will be the annual meeting for AMC, where we'll get to hear, so much more about what we're working on, and that will be virtual. But they're going to bring in a good guest speaker, and I can tell you more about that. But just know that December 7th is a virtual annual meeting for Association of Minnesota Counties. And then my last item is the Suburban Ramsey Family Collaborative is having their annual meeting this Thursday, and that is, the collaboration of all of the suburban school districts and nonprofits and county. I want to thank Deputy County Manager Hadeen and Director Becker, who actually serve on that committee and really contribute to the work that all of this collaborative is doing. So just thanks to the collaborative and our annual meeting on Thursday, where we'll assess what we've done and look forward to the future. So, and with that, I will complete my report. And I see that if there's no other questions, or Commissioner Reinhardt, you have your hand raised. Did you want to make another comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I apologize. I added it and it was lower on my list here. Commissioner Fretham mentioned the minor permit for water gremlin, and as we know, Commissioner Fretham and I, the total permit for the facility has taken quite some time here, and actually this minor permit change has slowed that down a little bit as well. But the minor change for water gremlin is regarding a different process that they want to implement, and so they needed to get that done before the actual permit for the facility is out there. So just wanted to clarify in case people thought that, oh my gosh, it is the big permit, because this is about when we thought it would happen. But that is actually on hold until we get this minor permit amendment change. So just so that they knew what they were actually considering at this point. It's hopefully something that will make a big difference in their processing line. And we will see what the MPCA and the hearing hold for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, for that clarification. I'm a fan of second time around. As you know, when I have something else I want to say, I like the opportunity to do that. So, thank you. Thanks to all of you. I see that there's no other comments, and I will just remind people to what Commissioner Carter mentioned already, that there will be a county board discussion on our elections recap. This will be chaired by Commissioner Ortega. And I'm looking to see, are we looking to have it start at 11, or we go off of this Zoom call, we have to go on to another one. So I'm guessing 11:05. 11:05. Thank you for that. We'll adjourn this meeting and then come back together for that discussion. And then at 1:30, to remind people, there's a county board workshop, the systems approach to dismantling mass incarceration, which will be a virtual meeting. And so we'll look forward to that. So with that, seeing no other comments, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.